First thing you should do after you log into your Raspberry Pi is open up Preferences, Raspberry Pi Configuration. And in there you will see an option to change your password. Go ahead and change your password. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it here, but just type a new password, click OK to be able to apply your new password. There's a few other options here. If you want to boot to the command line instead of the desktop like you see here, you would check this button. If you want to have the Raspberry Pi prompt you for your password every time you boot it up, you would uncheck this button. There's a few other options here you can play around with. If your TV is not displaying properly, then you can mess around with the overscan. Some of the interfaces here, there's some options. If you want to run your Raspberry Pi headless, that is without a monitor, keyboard, or mouse, click to enable SSH. And if you want to be able to connect to it, like I am now through VNC or remote desktop, you're going to have to also enable some other things. For VNC, click enable. Depending on what your project is, you may need to change the GPU memory. Overclocking probably is not needed on the Raspberry Pi 3. You may need it on the 1 or the 2. But depending on what you want to do, you may not have to change that at all. And localization, you should go through each one of these tabs and make sure you pick everything, proper settings for your location. Another thing to do, if you're going to run headless, you do want to go in to get your IP address, type ifconfig, and that will show. If you connect to the Wi-Fi network, you'll see something like this, and you will see your IP address right here. That is the address that you want to take note of so you can connect to from another computer. Also, if you're not familiar with Linux, well, before we get to that, let's go into apt-get. If this is the first time you're booting up, you're going to want to update your packages that are installed. So you type sudo apt-get, that's apt-get, update, hit enter, and that's going to update the package manager. So that will go out and find if there are updates for any of your packages that you have installed. Then to install any of those updates, you want to run apt-get upgrade. Click enter. And if there's anything to install, it will come up and tell you how much space will be saved or used, and you type Y to accept that. Otherwise, this system is up to date, and it just tells me that there's nothing to do. Some Linux commands that are helpful. If you're going to want to do things from the command line, a lot of these things you don't need to do from the command line, but there are some things such as installing some packages and some other things that you may be more comfortable at the command line. One of the useful features of Linux is you can always go into the man pages to get information on commands that are available on your system. So if you type man space and then the command that you want to get some information on, here the CP command is for copy. And this will give you all the switches, command line options. You can scroll down through those and see what it is you want to do. Hit Q to get out of it. Some useful commands. pwd shows you the directory you're in. cd changes directory, so you can change to a different directory. We can see that we've actually changed to another one. If you just type cd with nothing, it takes you back to your home directory, which in this case, if you're logged on as pi, is home/pi. The copy command is just like DOS and many other systems. Type cp space and then the file that you want to copy, and then the file you want to copy to, and hit enter. That will copy your file. You can include the full path, or if you just want to copy to the current directory, you don't need to. rm is for remove or delete. Same syntax as the copy command. If you want to see the files that are in your directory, type ls. That will give you the files and directories that are in the current directory that you're in. There are switches you can get with ls that gives you more information. The -L switch will give you some more information about the files and directories that are in there. You can always use the man pages, or do a search, a web search for commands that you want to find. If you've installed Raspbian, that is a Debian-based Linux system. There may be some syntax specific things for Debian that you want to keep in mind. There may be some things you find in a web search that won't work here, but generally Linux commands are similar or the same for most systems. So do web searches, use the command line, and use the man pages to get more information.